sinisinta. Ang DOST ay sumilang na lingkod ang bayan sa tuwina. Pagtuklas ng bagong karunungan sa iba't ibang uring akam. Pagpiti ka sa ganan at kaunlaran ng ating lipunan. Ibandila ang kanyang sagisag, may tanda ng pagsisikap. Pagmulat nating pangarap ay biyayang malalasang. Magpugay tayo ng sabay-sabay, mabuhay, mabuhay ang DOST. Ang siyensya'y sandigan na maunlad na bayan, layunin nakita at maipagkakapuri. Pagkaisa ng dalangin para sa ilang bayan. Mabuhay, mabuhay ang DOST. Ang siyensya'y sandigan na maunlad na bayan, layunin nakita at maipagkakapuri. Pagkaisa ng dalangin para sa ilang bayan.
As the National Research Council of the Philippines joins in the celebration of the annual National Science and Technology Week, the new knowledge and discoveries that are continuously being generated from its funded basic research projects cannot just go unnoticed. These new knowledge and discoveries, both in the sciences and the arts, have paved many avenues for innovations and technologies that influenced policymaking and the way ecosystems are developed. NRCP responds to the new normal by embarking on the K-Top COVID Research Program, Kapakanan ng Tao sa Oras ng Pandemya, and bringing the results effectively to stakeholders through the online media platforms. This week's NSTW is one more proof of how the Council, through its members, share its expertise to the youth, the government managers, the policymakers at various levels of governance, the students, the Generation Z, and to the web worldwide audience, particularly since replays can be viewed from NRCP's website and its FB page, The Research Pod. In this year's NSTW, NRCP has uniquely and creatively packaged 5 online presentations on topics of popular interest and in a laymanized format. We will get engaged to NRCP members talking on the science behind the occurrence of dreams and how they affect an individual, on supplementing immunity to help deter the possibility of infections during this time of the pandemic, on the constant risks that come alongside the usage of cyberspace and how most users are vulnerable to cyber attacks, on how varied usage of language can impact the human psyche and affect the behavior of men and women, and on the intersection of technology and governance to curb the rising COVID incidents. As the Executive Director of the NRCP, I'm happy to be part of the Council's success in bringing the fusion of science and the arts to the public, and I take pride in the innovations and the achievements of our local scientists who relentlessly conduct research for development and for doing science with the people.
Magandang araw po sa lahat. Noong Disyembre 1933, tinipon ng pamahalaan sa Pilipinas ang 150 pinakamahuhusay na mga mananaliksik, siyentista at inhinyero ng bansa at binigyan ng mandatong magsagawa ng mga pag-aaral para sa kapakanan ng bayan. Ito ang simula ng pambansang sanggunian ng pananaliksik ng Pilipinas, higit na kilala sa pangalang National Research Council of the Philippines o NRCP. Mula sa pagkakabuo nito, 87 taon nang nakalilipas, patuloy ang pagsulong ng NRCP ng agham at teknolohiya para sa ikauunlad ng buhay ng mga Pilipino. Noong mga una nitong dekada, ang konseho ay nagsagawa ng mga unang pag-aaral sa mga sanhi ng mga sakit na natagpuan sa marami sa ating mga kababayan, beriberi at pulmonya noong dekada 30 at 40, dengue noong dekada 70 at pati malaria at rabies. Ang konseho ay ang unang nagsagawa ng geological survey sa bansa noong 1937 at ng mga pag-aaral sa mga katangian ng mga halamang gamot tulad ng lagundi at sambong. Noong 1957, nilunsad ng NRCP ang kauna-unahang ethnomusical survey sa pangunguna ni national artist Jose Maceda na nagbuo ng pinakamalawak na koleksyon ng katutubong musika. Hindi rin maikakaila ang kontribusyon ng NRCP sa pagtatatag ng nooy Institute of Volcanology na nagbigay ng mga alerto tungkol sa mga bulkang aktibo sa iba't ibang pulo sa bansa. Ito'y kilala natin ngayon bilang PHIVOLCS o Philippine Institute for Volcanology and Seismology. Nitong mga nakaraang taon, pinag-aralan ng mga mananaliksik ng NRCP ang mga mikrobyo na kayang buhayin ang mga lupa sa mga dating minahan para muling matamnan ito ng mga halaman at puno at upang maging ligtas at kapaki-pakinabang sa iba't ibang komunidad. May pag-aaral din tayo sa mga mikrobyo na matatagpuan sa ilalim ng dagat para magamit ang mga ito bilang mga aktibong sangkap ng mga antibiotic at ilan pang organismong nabubuhay sa mga kuweba na maaaring pagmulan ng gamot laban sa sakit tulad ng kanser. Para sa Linggo ng Agham at Teknolohiya ngayong taon, tatalakayin ng ilang mananaliksik ng NRCP ang iba't ibang interesanting paksa na maaaring may kinalaman sa pagharap natin sa tinaguriang bagong normal. Kasama rito ang siyentipikong paliwanag sa panaginip, lalo na yung may kinalaman sa mga pangkasalukuyang mga kaganapan. Ang cybersecurity, ang mga pulisiyang pangkaayusan at pangkapayapaan, at ang pagpapakahulugan natin sa mga mensahe nitong panahon ng pandemya. Umaasa akong kapupulutan natin ng kaalaman ang mga tampok na paksang ito at makamit ng NRCP at ng DOST ang mga pangkahalatang adhikain para sa NSTW 2020. Maligayang pista ng agham at teknolohiya sa lahat.
As technology advances and knowledge becomes more accessible to the public, science, technology, and innovation advance alongside them. The science-based information that could save, empower, inspire people should be readily available and understandable to everyone. This is the main reason why DOST annually conducts the National Science and Technology Week to serve as a platform in heralding the achievements of Filipino researchers, scientists, and inventors, and to disseminate newfound knowledge, breakthroughs, and research results to the public through various activities like technology exhibits, scientific conferences, and lectures. In this state of new normal, the DOST is happy to know that the National Research Council of the Philippines has the program called K-TOP COVID, Knowledge Online, an innovative and creative style of presentation using online technology for the week-long celebration of the 2020 NSTW. Each day, from November 23 to 27, the NRCP member researchers will talk about issues relevant to the people in real-life experiences, such as the science behind the phenomenon of dreaming, cyber attacks, words and languages influencing behavioral patterns, government efforts against social crises, and fighting diseases with boosted immune systems. With interesting styles of presentation and having Filipino S&T specialists at the helm, NRCP contributes greatly in replacing and improving the preconceived notion that research can only be done by scientists and academic people, and promote the fact that anyone can be a researcher with proper guidance and encouragement. Congratulations to the NRCP and its members.
Our accessibility to various internet-supported media platforms has benefited us a lot in this state of new normal. DOST and its agencies conduct meetings, conferences, and various activities using the virtual platforms. And for the first time since the celebration of the National Science and Technology Week, or NSTW in 1950, which was spearheaded then by the then National Science Development Board, or NSDB, and was institutionalized in 1982, the 2020 National Science and Technology Week will now go online. The benefits of virtual platforms in the conduct of activities, that is, simple, quick, and safe, may have corresponding downsides if the general public, particularly the youth, is the audience. Their interest and attention spans are critical factors to consider in the design and conceptualization of any virtual presentation to keep them glued on the topics being shown in any online media platform. I am very pleased to know that the National Research Council of the Philippines, or NRCP, has infused innovative and creative methods in the virtual presentations of various interesting topics, such as how dreams affects the state of mind, the impacts on the use of language to human behavior, the detriments of cyber attacks, boosting immune system against infections, and government initiatives versus health crisis. I congratulate NRCP for its dedication in humanizing and popularizing research-based information for the appreciation and learnings of this new generation. NRCP's efforts will surely contribute in spreading the interest in science and the pursuit of novel knowledge.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. This is the National Research Council of the Philippines presentation for Day 2 of the National Science and Technology Week. I am Abby De Layola, a Science Research Specialist with NRCP. You know, when the lockdown started, I'm sure marami sa atin nang na-stress. All of our plans were put on hold or cancelled with nothing else to do. All that was left was to worry about tomorrow. Kaya naman tayo nagising, kain, tulog ang naging routine noong ECQ. Hanggang sa pagtulog, dala pa rin natin ang stress. Because of this, there was an uptick of people saying that they experience having COVID nightmares. Today, we will be talking about dreams, in particular the science of dreams, and why we get nightmares. With us today is Dr. Agnes Remulla, ENT, at the Asian Hospital and Clinical Associate Professor at the UP College of Medicine. If you have questions regarding the topic or anything about dreams, feel free to type them in the chat box if you're here with us via Zoom, or type them in the comments if you're joining us on Facebook. And if you really want to join us in our conversation, please click the raise hand icon in Zoom and we'll call you later in the show. Siguraduhin po lamang na ang damit natin ay hindi rated SPG. And now, here's Dr. Agnes T. Remulla with her presentation, Science of Dreams, Why Do I Get Nightmares?
We all dream. Whether or not you remember the dream, it happens, maybe even several times in a single night. The content of your dreams can be varied. It could be about a childhood memory, mixed with the last video game you played, or something as simple as your last haircut. Dreams can be an enjoyable and pleasant part of sleep. In 2020, our collective attention was drawn to the disease we now know as COVID-19. It changed our lives in several levels. Recent studies on dream content showed an increase in dreams related to themes relevant to the coronavirus and the change in lifestyle it caused. COVID dreams, as it is now called, has become quite a popular topic. Even the October 2020 issue of the Scientific American magazine features it prominently on their cover. This is consistent with past findings of increased dreaming associated with major external events, like the Ebola epidemic in Africa and after the 9/11 terrorist attacks in the US. Unfortunately, there is no local data on the content of Filipino dreams during major events, but it makes sense to believe that we experience the same. Dreaming is the experience of mental activity during sleep wherein images, sounds, ideas, emotions, and other sensations occur. You may see things, hear things, and even have sensation of touch. Dreams do not follow the rules of physics, reality, or facts as we know it. In the continuity hypothesis of dreaming, it describes a strong relationship between general waking experiences and concerns with our dream content. So why do we dream? In the 1900s, Sigmund Freud proposed that dreams were expressions of repressed wishes and desires, and decoding the dream would identify a patient's problem and help determine treatment. By the mid-70s, Harvard scientists postulated that dreaming is simply a product of normal, random brain electrical activity during sleep. Electrical discharges occur in different parts of the brain as a regulatory, even housekeeping process, if you will. Dreams are mere byproducts as bizarre and disjointed images are stitched together into dream narratives by the brain. It's the brain trying to make sense of things. More recently, data from multiple studies suggest that among its many functions, dreaming is a mechanism by which the brain performs offline emotional and memory processing. This necessarily includes the reactivation of memories and emotions from earlier experiences. We go through a whole lot of information during the course of each day. Some we would like to keep, others may not be very useful. The brain circuitry has systems to sort through this information and assign which will be stored in long-term memory and which ones will be modified. Some may be better off deleted. Findings on COVID dream research showed that there is an increased incidence. The emotional tone may be positive, neutral, or negative. An example of a positive dream is maybe a picnic or a get-together with loved ones that you may not be able to see during the pandemic. Neutral dreams may relate to experiences of the daily grind of work or household chores. Those with negative dreams are more likely to have been impacted by the pandemic in real life, either physically, socially, or mentally. These individuals were found to report greater stress and had more detrimental changes to their sleep pattern. Interestingly, women reported greater dream recall and a greater negative dream content. This is possibly due to greater pressure on women during these times, from home responsibilities and situations, child-rearing responsibilities, and work, notably since majority in healthcare are women, financial disparity, and other things. We are not only dreaming of COVID, but there is also a greater dream recall. Why are we remembering these dreams more? For you to remember a vivid dream, certain conditions must be present. The more robust dreams happen during REM sleep, which occurs for longer periods during the early morning hours. You're also more likely to recall if you wake up during the dream and spend some effort to recall it. Nowadays, increased dream recall may be due to increased opportunity for sleep since most are confined to our homes. This likely increases the duration of REM in the early morning hours, and there is more time to spend recalling the dream after you wake up. Dreams are easier to recall when they have meaning in your life, and COVID is front and center nowadays and is meaningful to all of us. The increased prevalence of insomnia during the pandemic, which may be accompanied by frequent awakenings during sleep, has been associated with greater dream recall. So are dreams good or bad? Often it is neither good or bad. It is a necessary physiologic process that occurs whether or not we recall them. It is supposed to happen. Dreams may be a guide to determine the well-being of an individual and even a population. Certain disorders manifest in dreams, and a general improvement in dream content may be an indicator of treatment progress. Many times, repetition of dream events may be a healthy way to process events and help make anxiety-provoking reactions eventually fade with repetition. Sleep is a pillar of good health and is essential to life, like good nutrition and exercise. During these times, it is also essential in coping with our unique stresses and maintain mental well-being. Here are a few simple steps for better sleep. Follow a daily schedule. Wake up at the same time every day, no matter what time you slept the night before. If you need that cup of coffee, the last cup should be at around 2 p.m. Caffeine comes in many forms, so the same 2 p.m.-ish deadline goes for caffeinated sodas, teas, and energy drinks. Avoid naps. Exercise should ideally be in the morning, but if you only have time at night, don't schedule it too close to your bedtime. Give yourself a quiet bedtime routine to signal your body that it is time to sleep. Switch off gadgets or change to night mode to reduce blue light exposure, which can certainly delay your sleep. If you want to modify your dreams, you could practice dream imagery rehearsal. Focus on the image of your dream before bedtime and add the image of the outcome you prefer. Rehearse the dream in your mind. If you're not good at imagining the dream, look at the picture of your desired outcome and run the story in your mind as you look at the picture. For example, if you dream that your professor is hovering menacingly over you due to missed schoolwork, you may want to reframe the situation to seeing your professor praising you instead. A successfully modified dream may actually help you cope with the related stress brought about by this pandemic. I hope that this simple introduction to the truly complex science of dreams provided insight into how and why we dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rimulya, for the presentation. So it's our question and answer time. So do we already have questions from the audience? Okay. So we already have questions in the audience. So I'll read the first question. So the first question is, how do I get rid of a recurring stress dream?
Okay,
Ayun.
good afternoon. Thank you for me today. Well, as was mentioned in the lecture, having recurrent dreams may be an indication of your stress during the day carrying over to your sleep. And the function is sometimes, it can be a good thing in that it's a way of processing all these stresses and handling it. However, when it becomes an additional stressor and it makes your sleep worse, then that's the only time when you need to take care of it. One thing good to practice is dream rehearsal. As was mentioned, imagine the scenario of the dream and then imagine it in a different way, in a way that is more favorable for you, that the outcome is probably more pleasant or positive. And then you imagine it. In fact, if you're not good at imagining, you could pictures and just try to look at these pictures, play the scene over in your head using visual images. In time, it can help you modify the content of the dream. So hopefully, that will be enough. However, if you feel that it's gone beyond your ability to deal with it, of course, it is highly recommended that you seek help for it. Maybe it be a physician or a psychologist. It would be a good idea to seek help.
Next question daw po, Doktora, is what cause sleep paralysis?
All right. So sleep paralysis is very, it's actually something that can happen to anyone. It's part of what REM sleep is. So REM sleep is a portion of sleep. One part will be non-REM, and REM, rapid eye movement sleep, is what is known as dreaming sleep. The typical characteristics of REM sleep is that's when you have your more bizarre dreams, more vivid, and part of the physiologic changes in REM sleep is that your body essentially becomes paralyzed. So your muscles are very relaxed, you don't really move around a lot, but in your head, it seems like, you see a lot of things during the dreams. Sleep paralysis is now on the crossing over of traits of REM sleep into wakefulness. So what happens is you're already aware, and yet the paralysis that is associated with REM sleep is still present. So you are alert and you are aware that your environment is such, you are awake, but then you cannot move. Unfortunately, sometimes it is also accompanied by the dreams that typically occur in REM sleep, and these become like, parang hallucinations, parang they're like bad dreams, parang mga binabangot. They're awake already, but they can't move and they see and hear things. So it is a physiologic event, but is mixed up with waking up. Is it pathologic? Not always. If you're always, if you always lack sleep, you are sleep deprived, greater chance that you will experience that as a normal occurrence.
Next question po. Totoo po ba na malikot ang mata pag nananaginip, and bakit?
Yes, absolutely. So that is another trait of REM sleep. It's rapid eye movement sleep. One of the initial observations was that eyes will shift around. Of course, your eyes are closed, but you see that the eyeballs are shifting around. And yung speed ng movement ng eyeballs, hindi katulad ng mabilis ka lang tumingin when you're awake. These are really unnaturally rapid eye movements. And it is part of normal REM sleep.
Bakit naman daw po may mga dreams tayong nakakalimutan agad when you wake up?
Okay. Yes. So, pag nanaginip tayo, it does happen. Nearly every night may panaginip. However, kung hindi ka nagising sa gitna ng panaginip, most likely, parang may konting idea ka that you had a dream, but it will probably fade away. Hindi mo siya maaalala. However, kung nagising ka in the middle of the dream, then you stay awake for a few minutes, it gives you a chance to try to remember the dream. So, sinabi nga dun sa lecture, it takes a little effort to remember a dream. But the conditions are you wake up in the middle of the dream, for a few minutes, and in that few minutes, you try to recall the dream, and it has a memory stay so that you are able to bring back what the dream was. Otherwise, kunyari, nalingat ka lang, nadilat ka, parang, okay, nanaginip ako, pero nakatulog ka ulit, more likely, hindi mo na maaalala yung panaginip na yon.
One question again, this is quite interesting po. Ang kanyang anak daw po ay child walker. So, sleepwalker. So, what advice can you give po?
Okay. So, ang sleepwalking, it happens 50% of the time. It happens among family members, kumbaga na mamana-mana. There who was sleepwalking as a child, and yung anak niya mas malaki yung chance na magsisleepwalk. In a certain age group, yung mga maybe between 6, 9, 10, sleepwalking is it's not abnormal, but see it in some children, and it is not pathologic. Ibig sabihin, you shouldn't be alarmed if they sleepwalk. Ang nagiging issue lang is walk, baka maaksidente, matisod, magbukas ng pinto, lumabas. So you just have to make sure na safe yung environment. So, for children, maybe napuyat, hindi maganda yung pagkakatulog, or nagising ng hindi niya naintindihan na parang naalimpungatan lang, they can sleepwalk. But it is not always natural to see it in adults. So when it happens in adults, maybe it's better na ma-invest sa sleepwalk. Pero yung bata, most of the time, okay lang.
Okay, next question. How will you know that a dream is a recurring dream?
Okay.
Already?
Well, it will be familiar to you. Like, kapag na-experience mo yung dream, kahit hindi mo siya masyadong maalala, when again, nagkataon, naaalala mo, the fact that it is familiar is probably because you had seen that dream before. So, it becomes when it is significant in your life, it has meaning, and maybe when memory represents has not been resolved, either physiologically, hindi pa na-decide ng brain if it's going to store the memory or modify it or get rid of it, or physiological. So, a recurring dream is probably going to be very to the dreamer. And that's when you recognize it as recurring.
Next question again. My husband is a sleep talker. Sleep talker naman to, hindi siya walker. Totoo po bang mas honest ang tao while he or she sleep talking?
Okay. Well, sleep talking family as sleepwalking. They all happen in non-REM sleep, malalim yung tulog, tapos parang nahugot siya sa tulog, siya sa pagkagising. So, the state kind of mixed up. Now, honest, they are able to answer, certainly, as part of the sleep talking. But sometimes, hindi ka rin nila papansinin eh. So, I'm not familiar with a study that really looks at the accuracy answers of a sleep talker. But I would think that maybe you cannot depend on the answers kung totoo. May chance na hindi totoo yung sinabi ng sleep talker.
Okay. Next question. Is bangungot established science na po? Some say po kasi na hindi pa, though I have relatives who've experienced it.
Okay. So, historically, ang sinasabi nila yung bangungot is pancreatitis, yung lapay daw, namamaga pag natulog. But recently, they discovered na mayroong silent heart problem ng mga taong to. So, it runs in some families or you often see males. So, ang sinasabi is, pag kasi tayo nagbabago yung takbo ng katawan natin, and RG changes, and certain night, minsan may pagkakataon na kunyari magkakaroon niya o quality sa tibok ng puso, doon siya tatama. Ang tingin nila sa bangungot ngayon is yung mga taong nagkakaroon ng merong tendency na probably hindi na-detect previously na magka-problema sa rhythm ng heart. Ang tawag doon ngayon is Brugge syndrome na nakita ito sa media na parang given yung confluence of tulog niya pangit, or nabusog, nagbago yung tulog, biglang nagkakaroon ng arrhythmia habang tulog, and can be fatal. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng hindi na siya magising. Nowadays, mas accurate to a silent heart yung kesa dun sa dati nating nire-recognize na problema sa lapay. So, yun yung current research.
Okay. So, maraming questions ang nare-receive natin. Mukhang maraming interested sa sleep and dream. So next question, do things like alcohol, essential oils, or exercise help in getting better sleep?
Okay, it's a good question. So yung getting better dreams, you mean, yun ang sa question. Dreaming is more pronounced nga when you are in REM. So there are certain like medication and things that will increase. And kung humaba yung there is an increased mood na mananaginip ka. The content though may vary, pwedeng good or bad dun sa period ng tulog na yon. Pag natulog ka, if you take alcohol, the problem with alcohol is it will help you fall asleep faster and earlier. But ultimately, sa dulo ng gabi, puputulin na nga yung tulog mo, mas magigising ka. In fact, with alcohol, may less dreams because you will not be able to achieve a REM period. With essential oils naman, essential oils, I think, will cause a relaxing effect to the person who is susceptible to it. Ibig sabihin, kung na-appreciate mo yung amoy at saka na-relax kapag na-amoy mo yun, maaaring matulungan kang makatulog ng maigi. As to dreams, the positive distribution of that is, kung relax yung pagkakatulog mo, maaaring magtula pag natulog ka na, pati mas relaxed. So it is possible that it can have more positive dreams. But I don't think alcohol really is a good sleep aid, or wag niyong asahan yung alcohol na makakatulong na magpaganda sa tulog. It doesn't really do very well for individuals.
Doktora, about essential oil sa ating mga oil bularios. So next question, is it safe to say that we have the power to control our dreams?
Yes, I think some people to be aware that the dream happening. It's a lot of work though. You start with dream image, then when you are in a dream, when it's very vivid, that you're able like manipulate some parts of it. Not always voluntarily, but I think the prep before you go to sleep is big. So whether it be relaxation with oils or dreamery or combination of many things that will contribute to more relaxed state when you go to sleep, then I think you learn to content to a certain extent. Pero hindi siguro talaga yung haginip ka, yung alam na alam mo na nanaginip ka, yung lang lucid dreaming. Merong ganon, pero not everyone can achieve it.
So, any questions from the audience pa? Well, Doktora is still, so, mukhang okay na tayo. So, I think from there, we should practice or rehearse our dreams to have a good dream and avoid stress dreams. So, thank you, Doktora, for today. And that's it for our presentation this afternoon. Thanks to Dr. Remulla for enlightening us today, and to you, our viewers, for joining us. Please join us again tomorrow at 3:30 p.m., where we'll talk about how government and technology come together in stopping the pandemic. Oo nga, as in mga tao.
Ako yung tanong sa amin, sleep paralysis.
Ano, sige. May tanong kayo?
Ako nga, may tanong ako.
Ano, sige.
Kasi ganito ma'am, frustrated law school student ako. So every time na nakakarinig ako ng tungkol sa bar masters or call for enrollment sa law school, I get my dream na hindi pa ako pumapasa ng undergraduate before school.
Oo.
How do I make sense of that?
Well, kasi it's a source of yes, parang it's still relevant to you. Ewan ko, it will help if you learn to accept na hindi ka school and it's all right. Kasi pwedeng i-dream imagery na naging abogado ka. Kasi it might cause more stress, di ba?
Ang kinakatakot ko dyan, ma'am, kasi yung pong tatay ko naman, he was able to go to law school, pero he didn't take the bar. Ang nangyari sa kanya, 60 years old na siya, ang recurring dream niya is, he is about to take the bar. Na nawala lang yung dream niyang yun when yung siblings ko po ay naging abogado na. Kaya, I'm fearing na I'll grow old, dreaming,
And be like him?
Yes, ma'am.
I think you are partly conditioned to be like him, maybe, kasi pinag-usapan niyo. Tapos parang naiisip mo na ganun talaga, that you will, it's an important thing. So like your father, the resolution of the issue was, may naging abogado. So ikaw siguro gawa ka ng anak para na magiging abogado. Loko lang. O ikaw maging abogado ka. Kung gusto. But yeah, it's hard because paano ba natin, you have to figure out a slant to the issue that will satisfy your need. Parang ganon.
Thank you
Sorry.
very much, Doc. No, thank you very much. It's actually very comforting to hear that. Kasi I've been dealing with this for the past 10 years.
May narinig pa ako ni Doktor.
Yeah.
Ayan po. Ayun, Doktora, kasi based doon sa question niya, saka yung lectures before, just a wild question. Does dreams, I think, or sleep ba, is genetically passed on? Kasi yung kanina po, yung sa sleep, talking, and walking, genetics ba siya or just because of the environment dahil magkakasama kayo sa bahay?
Oh, great question. Hindi, both. Both siya. So, merong genetic propensity for sleepwalking, sleep talking, like at night, yung enuresis, yung nawiwiwi sa gabi, those can be genetic 50% of the time. Merong environmental conditions na kailangan mangyari. Oo, kunyari, tulog na siya, malalim tulog niya, tapos biglang may bumang sa labas, o tricycle na dumaan. Anong bumabaw yung tulog, pero umabot sa pagkagising, genetically predisposed siya to walk or talk or just let go of the urine. Yun ang nangyayari. So, yung studies nila doon, tinignan nila yung mga tao na may genetic predisposition. Ang gagawin nila, pag tulog na, nandun na sa stage ng malalim na non-REM, they'll ring a bell, malakas na bell. Tapos titingnan nila kung sino maglalakad, sino magsasalita. So it's...
Pero maganda yung discussion. Tinanong ko po kasi kung genetic ba ang sleepwalking.
Doctor.
Yes.
Dr. Remulia.
Yes.
Si Sir Joey po na dito with us.
Hello, ma'am.
Sir Joey, hindi kita makita, pero hello, thank you po.
Saan ba?
Ay, pa-camera naman.
Hello, ma'am. Kita niyo na ako, ma'am.
Hindi pa, Sir Joey. Sir Francis, kailangan mong ilabas yan. Hi, sir.
Hello,
Kamusta?
ma'am.
Congratulations sa lahat ng preparation nyo.
Hello, ma'am. Ang gaganda ng mga comments.
Talaga?
Ito, ano? Baka nakikita.
Nakakabahan nga ako.
Hindi na, sir.
Ayan.
Si Joey, congrats.
Ma'am, congratulations po sa inyo. Napakagaling nyo po, ma'am.
Talaga?
Ma'am, may replay tayo sa Friday.
Talaga?
Oo,
Online?
ma'am. Online din. Magla-live din po kayo.
Mas marami tayo.
Magla-live din? Ba talaga live din?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ano oras yun?
Anong oras nga ba?
2:30, ma'am, I think.
Okay. Sige.
Ma'am, you will be ma'am, kayo po dalawa ni Dr. Arrollado. Ang una po ay si Dr. Arrollado po yung health boosters, tapos science of dreams na naman.
Talaga. Nisip ko, wow, meron palang Meron palang interesado dito.
Oo,
Pero
ma'am.
laging tinatanong yung pangungot. Nako, bestseller yung tanong na yun.
Oo. Sige
At
po,
saka
ma'am.
yung
Salamat
sleep
po,
paralysis.
ma'am. Salamat
Congratulations.
po, ma'am. Ma'am,
Salamat po.
congratulations din po.
Dr. Bull,
Thank you po.
for taking my question. Maraming salamat.
Of course. No problem.
See you on Friday.
Ingat. Okay, see ya. Bye-bye. I can log off na.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bye.